I'm gonna welcome everybody back to my hillbilly mansion here. Everybody says, "How are you? Where you been?" or whatever. I am having some health issues, so I did some hibernation during the really crappy weather. But it's time to get rolling again this year, and I wanted to save everybody on this planet these pains of snapping these bolts off in these GM, the Vortek LS heads, whatever you want to call them. They're a Vortek head. There's no such thing as an LS. It's a slang directed towards the motor. I think I covered that in another video. But anyway, LS engines, 5.3, 6.0, the 7.3s, all of them, 4.8, which I prefer the 4.8 over the 5.3. Okay? There's not much difference between the two engines other than the stroke. So if you're towing, you want the 4.8, because I tow a lot with THRU over there, the Hulk. She could put them all to shame, that old truck. She really could. So I'm going to cover why those bolts always snap. And it's a very simple thing, and it has a very simple solution. And that's where we're going to go with this, okay? And I also wanted to present the correct valves for the 4.8, the 6.0, the 5.3 liter. These are not a 2-inch valve. I have found the 2-inch valves in the 2500 HDs, Corvettes, Camaros, things like that use the 2-inch valve. These are just under 2 inches. This one. So that's how you know you're getting the right set. The intake valves are the same, I should say the exhaust valves are the same. That's where you're going with that. And I'm a Manly guy. I love Manly products. I got a Manly cam all ready to go in her. I won 5 championships with Manly products. Okay, he's ready to go. So I'm going to show you what the gig is. This is not going to be a lengthy BS video. I'm getting right to the meat and potatoes here. And I'll be able to show you why your bolts snap off and why you get an exhaust leak. People tell me, Uncle Dutch, I had the engine rebuilt by this guy. Everybody said he's good. Are you getting that in your... You see how much when you get a gasket in there and a washer, those bolts are run in. Those are as tight as they go. I ran them in. So the solution to this, believe it or not, you can go about it 2 ways, okay? You can cut your bolt. And these are the crappy ones, by the way. These ones that come with these stainless header kits and even the factory GM, they went to a bolt like this. This has 0 tensile and it rusts. Anytime you put a raw steel, these are a raw steel bolt. They're not a stainless bolt. These other ones, these are what they use on the Corvettes and the Camaros. The factory bolts are bad. That's why you have a factory engine, and after so many miles, you start getting an exhaust leak. The bolts are too long. So there's 2 solutions. You can just cut them and then use your angle grinder, which is hot on the tootsies and fingers, or you can hold them in a vice grip, and they have a conical device. Now, I screwed up when I ordered mine. They're all for like 1/2 inch, 3/4 bolts on down to 7/16. I don't have that much for like 6, 8, and 10 millimeter, or 5 millimeter. I got every size under the sun but the one I needed. But they actually make them. They're kind of universal. They cover, one will cover like from 3/4 down to 9/16, and then from 1/2 inch it'll cover almost down to 5/16. These are just undersized, and it does not properly taper the top of the bolt. So I have to get one because I'm fond of that, just holding it, and I can grind 4 or 5 thousandths off that lickety split. But these factory bolts, or the replacement bolts, on all of these goddamn things, they're all almost a 1/4 inch long. So that means you're going to be taking 5 to 6 millimeters off this bolt. If you're conservative like me, sometimes I go 4. But this is thick. It's actually as thick as the exhaust manifold, if not a little bit thicker. Okay, and you can still see there's a problem. So if you're putting a factory motor together down, and your shop rebuilder is a guy like me, he's going to say, hey, cut your manifolds too. Make sure your manifolds are true, and you cut them. So then you're going to end up with that problem. You're going to think that thing is tight. It's going to look like it's tight. It's going to even feel like it's tight. And you're never going to get them bolts back out simply because they're jammed. They're frozen in there because they're bottomed out. Do you want to take the chance of drilling that and making them and going through all that? I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. Maybe put an oversized bolt in them. And these fit fairly loose. You could do that. You could oversize them, put a larger bolt in there. I'm considering doing that on my Super Sport because I'm going to put a real monster cam in there. I'm going to a stage 3 on her, and I'm afraid that if I don't, the shaky from those cams, even this one might end up loosening it up. So I'm going to use a nice. I'm going down to my little supply depot, and I'm going to get myself a good heavy-duty lock washer. I mean, a monster stainless steel lock washer. She says she doesn't have any in stock, that I would have to order them because they carry limited stainless stuff. But I'm also thinking this is your proper route versus this is just a regular bolt, and it does need a washer. It does require a washer. And if you notice in the bag, they don't even give you any. It's asinine. This is like a shoulder bolt. They call them a shoulder bolt. That's what we call the military. They have other names for them. But as you can see, this actually has the almost like a washer on it, and it's good. So if you put even a nice thick flat washer in between there, you're actually taking up maybe 2/1000ths that you can save yourself. But you're still running that risk, because when I did check the holes and gauge those holes, those 2 holes are the ones that are the most farthest out. And believe it or not, most of the time where your bolts snap, or also the end, on the end of the head, either end of the head, either side. Yeah, I'm doing good. These bolts, why do they snap first? I don't know. Usually the other ones come out even if they're bound up. But in this case, on these heads, it didn't. I had a hell of a time getting them bolts out of there. I think there was only 3. There was 3 seized in one. They were the 2 head bolts and one in the middle, and the other one had 4 bolts seized in it. So that's not good when you're taking something apart. It really gripes your butt when you got to weld all that and twist on it and heat it up. And I was in there maybe a solid 3-4 hours till I got every bolt out of both heads. So it's all up to you, but I discovered what the problem really is, and that is a problem. So what am I going to tell you? Check your depth and cut those bolts before you put them new headers or manifolds back on, and have your manifolds cut, because 90% of the distortion, or when a manifold cracks, it was distorted. And what happens is, even though it was distorted, you might see it go back in shape, but it's still stressed. Once that manifold was relieved from its heated position, it stressed itself. So then you stress it back, and then it cracks when you put it on the truck back on. Don't ask me why. It's just a product of dealing with cast steel products. And I have seen it happen. It's been happening as early as the 1980s. Then Fords come out with those tinfoil manifolds that they put on them. And everybody was running around my neighborhood with a cracked manifold. I could tell when a Ford went up the street in where we used to live. Texas, they were big Ford people down there. I was one of the only GM guys that I remember living around my area in Texas. But that's my problem. I'm the GM guy. I do like GM. I'm not fond of Ford, and that's why Holly Ann's still sitting there, because they have so much asinine, crazy things the way they're put together on those Fords. It drives me out of my tree. So when I get a Ford here, I just take my time with it, and I don't promise the customers immediate results. GM, I can take those trucks apart in my sleep. I have been out here in my night clothes working on things. I've been prone to do that. Put on my my sweat shorts or whatever, and I'm still out here asses and elbows at 10, 11 o'clock at night. But maybe that's what's leading to some of my health problems. So enjoy my video, and I hope I answered your question, why those bolts don't come out and why you always get an exhaust leak after you put your motor back together. I think I've sufficiently explained that the bolts are too long, and you got to cut them down, and you got to use something in between there. And I would even encourage using like an anti-seize, like a copper, high heat, high tensile anti-seize on the bolts. Because I see a lot of these guys in these videos, a lot of times you don't see them putting stuff back together, But I don't see those products like you see the stuff in some of my videos. It's right in my video because I'm anal about using it, because 9 chances out of 10, those people are going to, they took the vehicle here so the vehicle lasts. So I'm probably going to be working on it again. So I don't want grief getting stuff apart. So I just put it in their bill. They never know about it. A lot of them bitch, you're too high, you're expensive. Take it somewhere else. A lot of people, they have their first generation car owner. These people are in their early 20s and late 30s, some of them that come in here. Those normally are not my forte of a customer. It's usually the older people. They know you know a little something and how to take care of things. So that's where I'm going with this, okay? Thanks for watching my videos, and I hope I solved your exhaust manifold, the GM LS engine Vortek. That's how I'll title the video. So I'm in a bit of a rush to get this done. It cooled off here, the weather. It was nice, it was warmer. I was just out in a sweatshirt earlier, but now the breeze picked up again and it's getting cold. And we got a storm front coming in. So at least I want to get one head done today, and I wanted to make a video and share this with you folks, because I think it is important. Everybody's asking me about these, getting these exhaust leaks, and oh, there's another one with a tick. Yep, they're going to tick. And that's how the Nugget put my truck back together. Never checked and gauged the bolts. And that's just a product of the way people are. But I'm not a slop. I figured it out. Thanks.